What's going on, guys, and welcome back for another spoiler review here at Big Gold Bell Media. Today, we're here to talk about Invincible Season 3, Episode 6, premiering February 27th, only on Prime Video. I'm Cam from Cam's Collection. We got Damian G over here, as well as Stevie down bottom, and we're excited to talk about this one. Stevie put it earlier after she watched this episode, and I think you said this is your favorite one so far, right?
I really like this one.
She really liked this one. Okay, all right. So we should have a lot to talk about. This is really exciting for all of us to talk about this one right here. Let's just give an overall rating, I guess, from the jump.
We're jumping to it, huh?
We're jumping straight into it. What would you give this episode just off bucks? I'm gonna start with you, Stevie.
I really liked it. I don't like giving things like 10 out of 10 because I don't know. I feel it's really high. I know, but maybe a 9. I'm gonna say a 9.
Okay,
it was really good. It was interesting. I
David?
just don't like going that high.
Okay,
Yeah, I'll give it a strong 8, strictly because the main villain of this episode got on my nerves after a while. We were heading toward 9.5 territory, but the whinier he got, the more annoyed I got, and not in a good way. So 8.
Okay. You know me, people pleaser. We're right in the middle, guys.
I hate that 8.5.
Let's do it. Let's do it. That's why we're here. It's just got to be some type of middle ground. I thought it was a really good episode. Like you both said, I think there were some strong intellectual conversation moments in there, as well as quite a bit of fighting that was really good. But like you said, the main villain did have a point where it just seemed very repetitive. His overall like speech and goal was just like, okay, bro, get it over with. Like, let's figure out, are you gonna live or die? Dude. What's gonna happen here? But no, I think it was a really good episode. So this episode starts off where it kind of shows an unfamiliar family that we're unaware of who they are. And they're just having a normal casual day. It is who we learn is Scott Duvall, who was one of the characters that we'll see later on in the episode, along with his sister Jessica, along with his niece Gretchen, and they're playing in the park. And come to find out, I guess Scott actually has like a small amount of superpowers where he can kind of generate some type of like kinetic energy through contact with his body, right? But he can only do it like battery bite-sized type punches, and that's about it. Like nothing too extreme where he can defeat anybody. And then in doing so, they decide, all right, we're gonna go back to the apartment, which is Jessica's apartment as well as his niece's. And Scott decides, I'm gonna go grab a coffee real quick. I'm going really into detail here. Wow. So he goes across the street. He comes back and he sees that the building that Jessica and Gretchen were in, that he was supposed to meet them in a second ago, is now destroyed and is collapsing, obviously, on top of them. And when he sees through the rubble after everything's said and done, I believe that was his sister's arm that was being held, right? In like pieces, right? And it was being held by Invincible. And it's because of the fight in doing so between Omni-Man and Invincible, collateral damage basically in Chicago. And that's where this episode picks up right here. Did you guys think that this is where we were going to be picking up at? Like, were we going to be revisiting this whole entire traumatic event from season 1? Or did you think we were kind of moving past that? I'll start with you, Damian.
I hate to say it this way, but because of the mid-season trailers that was out there, I knew this is where we were going.
Okay.
But I didn't expect it to be so visceral, like as you described it, and as we see later in the episode. Just the visuals of just, like you said, collateral damage. We don't think about these things in superhero style shows or comics or what have you, save for, let's say, what is it, in Spider-Man, where we had the Vultures people picking up the scraps and things like that, or in Batman v Superman with Superman and Zod. So maybe over the last decade, we finally see that. But way back in the day, we didn't see this of residual damage by superhero fights. So especially, and as you said earlier, we get to see something really like, woo, later. And this is just the tipping point, because a lot of people are mad at Mark. And they're kind of just coming out the woodwork left and right. And this first 2 minutes of the show, someone's coming for Mark again.
Yeah. What would you think, Stevie?
Yeah, I did not expect it to. I didn't see any trailers, so I didn't know what they were doing. I don't know who this character is or anything like that. So I didn't expect it. I did like how they did call back to season 1, because when I rewatched season 1 when I was sick, that's like something that happened in season 1 with the arm. Like you see that scene play out. So I thought that was, again, Invincible being really good and doing callbacks from season 1, which I really liked. And yeah, I think that it is something that you see now a lot more in media with like with Batman versus Superman and stuff like that with Bruce Wayne. Kind of reminded me of that a little bit.
Yeah.
Not a little bit, a lot. But you also see it in Civil War too. Like, you know, the aftermath with Iron Man, it's like that woman that comes up to him is like, what you guys did in Age of Ultron killed my son.
Yeah.
Like, that's why he wants to start it. Like the whole Accord. So it's interesting to see the aftermath of certain things. This is not something that you really think about.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely something that's like, when I watch shows like this, it's something that's in the back of my head. I'm like, somebody got to clean up that building. My God. But like at the same time, it's like, I'm not like worried, like, oh, you know, like what's going to happen next? How are they going to reconstruct that building? Do those people get their apartment back, or like, you know, but then they bring it back as a callback, like you said, from season 1. And it really makes you think about how life-changing this is. Like a fraction of a second in a superhero's life of making a split decision can change or alter the lives of thousands, if not millions of people, just like that. You know, either they can be out of house and home, or they could lose their life in the same time moment, you know. But it makes you also realize that even though you're a superhero, you can't save everybody, which is crazy, you know, because like you said, like in media before, well, I mean, not including the past like 10 years, we're thinking everybody's safe, right? I mean, like you look at the Iron Man scene where everybody jumps off the plane and they're doing monkeys in a barrel in Iron Man 3, and everybody's safe, right? Oh, everybody made it out the plane. Somebody was in there probably. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like we still don't know exactly what the ending is and everything. So it's definitely something to think about. And I definitely like you guys said, how Invincible makes you think about this stuff all over again. So we kind of cut back after that scene, and we get to see what Scott does. I mean, not in his free time, but his everyday job. And we find out he actually works at the GDA, right? I mean, what a place to work at, where you can probably get closer to Invincible than anybody else out there. But he just doesn't have that access. So he's kind of pressing the issue to basically have Invincible not only looked up, but he should get locked up as well. Because like he feels like superheroes aren't kept in the check, right? And in doing so, he tries to get a petition signed by, I think it was like the attorney general, I guess, she was
something like that.
Yeah, she was something like that. She was something, or either attorney or something like that against superheroes. But it reminds me of the Sokovian Accords once again, trying to keep them in the check because they need to pay for their crimes and, you know, things that they've done. And in doing so, while he's working at the GDA location, these little tiny discs, I guess you can call them, that are like that create kinetic energy or boost kinetic energy, which would go very well with powers, as we can kind of figure out here in this episode, started to go missing on location. And the person, of course, who's in charge of looking all this up is my man Donald, of course, right? I mean, if it is going to go missing on somebody's duty, gotta be Donald. Gotta be Donald, right? Of course. Great. So after we kind of cut after that, we get to see that Oliver is now in training, right? And Oliver is out here fighting Elephant Man. When you guys see a callback to Elephant Man, do you feel like Elephant Man's character is being mistreated here? What do you think, Stevie?
He was a callback to what?
Well, he was in the first season, matter of fact. Because because he fought Mark in the first season, because that was like his training dummy.
His training exercise.
Yeah, they would use him as like training exercise Elephant Man. So like, do you feel like they're underusing Elephant Man's potential? I think he's just strong.
Right? Yeah, he's just strong. Yeah, I mean, I think it's funny that they use him as a training dummy. I think that's because he's such like an unserious looking villain.
I know.
He's just like in an elephant suit, and I think he's voiced by the guy who plays Bender. That sounds very familiar.
Oh, does he? Oh,
I think so. I don't know though, but it sounded like him. But yeah, they're definitely. I guess they're underusing him, but I think it's on purpose. Like they're not supposed to take it seriously.
It's got to be. I mean, how else does he keep getting back out of jail is what I'm trying to figure out here. Because I'm like,
yeah,
they must just be letting him out to let him
like
be a training dummy. Yeah, that's it. They're gonna lock him back up later on. What do you think, Damien?
I think it's an insult to the Rhino in Marvel Comics, to be quite honest. And
Yeah,
I say this
that's what I
every
thought.
review we do. How do they not get sued by coming so close
Yeah,
to
it's very, very
copyright
close.
issues? And I'm just thinking, like, yeah, this is the Rhino. It just happens to be a elephant with an impenetrable hide. But to Stevie's point, he's so dumb. I think that's why they keep letting him out of prison. It's like, man, he dumb. He gonna be back here in 5 minutes anyway. It doesn't matter.
Right.
So, and they had a callback to it later in the episode with Oliver's training, right? They, the Elephant Man, and I hate saying that because there's a song and the whole character outside of this called the Elephant Man. He even says, "Hey, I'm no one's training dummy. How dare you?" It's like,
yeah. Yeah, I think it's wild that we just keep seeing him come back. And hopefully, I mean, I don't know who else we're going to be training at this point, but hopefully we don't see any more Elephant Man after this one. Hope, fingers crossed.
Maybe they'll do a thing like they did in what's that one, the Into the Spider-Verse, where he was so the villain was so unserious that he turns into like his arch nemesis.
Yeah. That would be funny. That would be crazy. I'm pretty sure they got an idea out there for it somewhere. It's so close to everything else. I feel like they got to have that idea boiling somewhere. But in doing so, I mean, fighting an unserious villain, Oliver's having a problem listening, right? We're starting to see this like teenage adolescent start to come through at this point because he's already sneaking out, right? I mean, I don't know, how old is Oliver? What is he, like 11 or something like that, or maybe 8?
I guess in Earth years, he might not even be older than 2, but because he ages
I mean like in I guess Thraxing years, he's like what?
Yeah, I guess in Thraxing years, he's what, 10?
He's like 10. I wasn't sneaking out no 10. I don't remember that, so I'm like, dang.
You also didn't have superpowers at 9 or 10.
That's true. I didn't have that ability. Yeah. I might get up the street and be like, turn around. But no, yeah, and I'm like looking at it, and I'm like, all right, he's starting to show that his deviation from listening to authority is starting to come through at this point, as a teenager, or as his teenage years are starting to develop in probably the next 2 or 3 weeks, then he's just becoming different. And Mark actually makes that a point, to just point out that like he doesn't listen to me. But of course, once Eve says something, he's immediately listens to her, right? Do you think this is the weird dynamic of like when your older brother has a girlfriend and you like think she's cute too, and you're like, man, maybe I'll listen to her? That's what I thought, right? Because like I've had like an uncle that had a girlfriend and I was like a little kid and I was like, man, she's pretty. You think that
so much about
it, or do you think, or am I thinking too much into this? What do you think?
Too much, brother, not too much.
Just a little bit. Okay.
And I can't really. I'm not.
Okay. Yep. No. What do you think?
I took it as it's another strong woman in his family, so he respects her, as opposed to I got a crush on it, because like there's Debbie. He listens to Debbie. He references his Thraxan mom in the episode.
Yeah, he does.
And he listens to Eve. So again, strong women he listens to. His brother he's not supposed to listen to because you're not my real dad kind of thing. So I didn't think of it that deeply. Maybe he might have a crush on Eve, but I didn't think of it to that level.
Yeah, I think I could agree with that too. Like I feel like kids maybe gravitate naturally towards like women because moms and stuff like that. So yeah, I could say the same thing.
Yep,
that's probably why.
Just a creep. Great. Perfect.
He could.
Yeah. All right. Perfect. So,
and to be fair, Eve does give off maternal instincts throughout the course of the series.
She does.
So I'm not surprised.
She does. She gives out, I mean, obviously really great advice. And also she's always sensing things about other people opposed to them verbally coming out and saying it. She already is like, okay, what's like, she was having the conversation with Oliver and was like, what is this really about? Like she can see the underlining tones of what they're really trying to get at the same time. So you guys are right. I was wrong.
What this also does, it also highlights how dumb Mark is. I said it last week.
Yeah, Mark.
This just shows how dense
Mark
is as a character. Like Unga. Again, you don't see this the nuance, brother. You don't see the minutia going on with your brother. You're just like, he's a kid. He don't listen to me.
Yeah, he's a bad little boy. No, it's exactly how it is with Mark. And man, I just hope he slowly develop some type of skills within
Some
the
soft
next
skills.
three
I hope
seasons or so.
so.
It's going to be a long growth pattern, but it's going to take a while. I feel like it's like,
You know what's
this
funny?
is not an overnight thing.
I've peeked ahead in the comic, and I think I know when it happens.
Okay.
It does happen. He does have a semblance of growth. And Cam, you know what it is because we talked about it last season. Yeah. So that's when he grows up, I think.
Really? Does someone? I want to know.
We'll tell you off.
No spoilers here, but yeah, we're just a few spoilers. There we go.
Okay, you can tell me off.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll tell you off. But yeah, so Oliver kind of brings up the point to Eve as well as to Mark that, you know, he still thinks his dad can't be all bad, right? He's like, you know, like my dad, he saved a lot of people, right? But he also did bad things. And Mark kind of makes it a point that, you know, though he saved lives, it doesn't cancel out the lives that he took away as well, which is a huge thing to say coming out of Mark's mouth as well. Because I was like, man, it's really kind of intelligent, and
that's kind of
surprised Mark said it. But he's also saying that, you know, he feels this way about his dad, that he has to be good because his Thraxan, I guess, genes allowed him to have such a really good memory from even when he was a baby, that he remembers, like, you know, his mom holding him. He remembers his dad singing to him and flying around. So he still feels that kind of connection to his dad, even though he really couldn't speak and know him really in depth because he wasn't old enough. He still feels a really strong connection to his dad in that way. So, you know, he's basically saying that he remembers all these things, but, you know, my dad can't be this bad at the end of the day. Do you guys still think that immediately, because we're going to see Nolan back, right? Nolan's coming back sometime. When Nolan comes back, do you think he's going to be able to show a softer side to Oliver, or he's going to feel disconnected because he really doesn't know him still? I'll start with you, Stevie.
I think so. I think there will be a softer side. I really think this season is really like not only about the black and white stuff that we were talking about with like good versus evil, but I also see like a little thing of like redemption happening. Like I feel like that's a big theme of the season too. Yeah. So especially with some of the stuff he was saying, like, you know, like if my mom could love him, there has to be some good in him. Yeah. So I really feel like that he could come back and be redeemed. And yeah, that's where I think it's gonna go, especially since what we find out at the end. So I definitely think he's gonna come back and like help out. But you know, I could definitely see him redeeming himself. I hope
he gonna need to help out. If,
yeah,
he's gonna need a lot of help. Go ahead, I'll go with you, David.
Yeah, no. This season, to Stevie's point, and we've brought it up before, growth. People are growing throughout this season, except for Mark, apparently. But there is a modicum of just self-realization. Shoot, Nolan had it in space with Alan, coming to his aid and things like that. And right before the beginning of the season or last season, where he says, "Hey, I think I missed my wife." Yeah. Or back in season 1, think Mark, think, and then he doesn't kill his son. He flies off because he has a connection to his son. So I do believe Nolan has the capacity to grow and be a sensitive father, but he's still a Viltrumite. So it's kind of like the DNA still, chomping at you, no matter what kind of changes you want to make in your personal life.
Yeah.
Is it in their DNA though?
I'd like to think,
or is it just like the law?
So I'm going to use the Dragon Ball Z method and say, like Saiyans, they were raised to be conquerors. So that's what the Viltrumites are. They're raised to go and conquer planets and keep it moving. It's the strongest survive. They kill each other off in these acts of conquest and fights of fancy where the strongest do survive. So they're bred for this. So I'm not surprised that they might have a little bit of sadomasochism to them in terms of, interacting with one another.
Yeah. I hope there's some type of connection there, especially for Oliver's sake, since he is so young, and for him not really to have a male figure to look up to. Like you said, he's got his brother, but he's like, "You're not my dad," like the meme. So he's like, "Get out of here. We're like on the same level, bro. We can fly too." So, he's looking for that guy or that father figure to really teach him all the things that Mark still doesn't know himself at the same time. but
That's
as well give him those
point
memories.
actually, because Mark had that with Nolan.
Right.
You know,
right,
that
exactly.
and it sounds so real life. Like he had his dad at home, right?
Yeah,
Oliver has the absentee dad who went to get milk and never came back.
Yeah, he's
So-
like LeBron, basically.
Yeah.
Oliver's LeBron. Mark is like the guy on the bench that had his dad. Didn't rise to his potential because his dad was always there. That happens.
Yeah.
So it's wild, you know, and I just really hope that connection comes back when we do see Nolan there. So there's another scene that really picks back up right after this, right? So we see that Debbie is having dinner at home, right, with her family. Everybody sitting down at the table, and there's some weird little conversation in there because, of course, Paul is trying to be like the cool new guy. And he's like, you know, one time it was a crazy turf war in real estate, and we're like, no, bro, that does not correlate or relate to saving the world at this point. And Paul even realizes it too, and he has a moment where he's like, man, I'm so dumb. Like, I don't know why I even said that. And Debbie says, it's not about you measuring up, it's about you showing up. So she's appreciating that he's there at the same time, even though he can't be Nolan. He's never going to be Nolan. Like, there's no chance. But in saying that, if a connection comes back, right, for the son, do you think it will come back for the wife as well? We've talked about this before. You know, Debbie gonna fold. I think I'm gonna say that. What do you think, Stevie? Do you think there still is a shot? Do you think Paul is gonna get kicked to the curb?
I hope not. I like Paul. I think he's sweet. I like Paul. I don't know.
It's hard to say.
Your ex is your ex, so I mean, a lot of times they say your ex, you know.
At least the vulture might then. It's like, no, like maybe
but he might win her over. He might fly her to Italy or something. I don't know.
That's true.
Whatever they used to do. But I like Paul. I like that she has something normal. It must be hard dating a superhero. I don't know if I would do it. Like, you know, so having some normalcy is really probably nice for her.
Yeah. What do you think, Damien?
Oh, for sure, she's gonna fold, but not without some trying on Nolan's part.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think Debbie has it in her to just straight up leave Paul for Nolan. I feel as if she's the kind of person that's gonna let it play out before she even remotely gives Nolan a chance to try to win her back over.
Yeah,
because y'all know how I feel about Debbie. I love Debbie's character, so I think being the fact that she's the one to hold everybody down, I can't just see her. And I think I said it before in one of our other reviews. I just can't see her instantaneously just forgiving him for literally lying to him for her entire marriage and then flying off and knocking up some Thraxan, damn near killed their son, tried to blow up the earth kind of thing. And, oh yeah, I'm just going to take you back and we're going to snuggle in bed like it was a regular Tuesday.
Yeah.
What I think is going to happen, and I didn't peek this far ahead, so I'm speaking from potential. I think it's going to get to our guy, Paul. I think it's going to get to him. Like he brought it up, like, oh, I don't know where I fit in here. These are superheroes. I'm just a dude. And we saw with Amber last season, regular folk and superheroes sometimes don't mix in the dating realm.
Yeah.
So I could see him being the one to pull the plug.
Yeah, that does make sense though. I mean, like probably the pressures of not only having your ex's husband as a superhero or the superhero of the planet slash the villain of the planet as well. You know, like he does both. That's hard shoes to fill, you know. And I know they said something about, you know, him showing up and it's not about measuring up. But still, you know, as being the new guy and, you know, the new love interest, that's still got to be kind of painstaking and agonizing, you know, having to be there and not having experience with all the superhero life. It's got to be a struggle for him on a day-to-day basis, which is probably something Paul might not want to live with, you know, or not want to have to go through every single day. Like how much love does he have for Debbie to say like, all right, I'm gonna stick around and maybe get squished, you know, like, I don't know, you know, but it is another question that we have for this episode. It's crazy.
Do we still think he's a plant?
No.
by Cecil.
I did at first, so I did for a while, and then now I'm like, man, if he was like a okay, we're just gonna say like the bad guy at the end, right? We won't say who the bad guy is at the end, but we'll say if he's a plant for him, this would be crazy work. Like this would be insane. I would be like, oh my gosh, like this dude has every step thought out at this point.
Yeah.
But I do think that a lot of characters that we're seeing in these next episodes are all gonna return and kind of be in some type of crazy fight towards the end of the season. So I am definitely looking forward to it. And I actually skipped a part, matter of fact, because they were there was the weird speech that Powerplex. This is what
I hate this name.
Our newest superhero, Scott Duvall, is calling himself now, Powerplex.
Battery Man.
Due to the kinetic disc that he's using on his body to produce electricity, which he thinks he's going to defeat Invincible with. So Powerplex is this is a tongue twister. Powerplex is practicing his speech. Oh my god, I almost messed that up. And he's like giving this speech, and I think we were watching it, Damien, and I was like, yeah, he's talking to himself. Like I can tell, there's nobody in front of this dude. Like there's obviously no one there. And come to find out, he's giving the speech to his wife. And the strange part is that like his wife isn't trying to pull him out of this, mad craze, bloodthirst, hunger that he has. She's like feeding it, and they got a son and everything. Are you surprised at how much she supports her husband into this whole like blood fuel that probably is going to end up killing him at the end? What do you think, Stevie?
Yeah, because usually like with things like that, I feel like they always try to like talk them out of it or calm them down and stuff like that. So yeah, I was a little bit surprised. I'm like, oh shit. Yeah. What's she doing? Why is she just egging him on? Like something bad. And I thought something bad was gonna happen because she was doing that. So, and we'll find out later. But no, I was surprised. But I do find it interesting because like I have it in my notes that like that whole dinner scene, like with Mark and his family. Yeah, like it's so interesting seeing them have like a nice normal dinner. Meanwhile, all this shit is going on in the background. I know. People are grieving, dying, and upset, and they're just like, oh, well, flick him in the head or whatever the freak he did to his brother, But yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think, Damien?
Honestly, I wasn't surprised because a sycophant starts in the home. So if you've had one traumatic experience and that's the one thing that's motivating you for a decade, 15 years, and you wind up finding somebody that shares your viewpoint, because maybe she hated Invincible too at some point. Maybe, to get together. I mean, we've seen it in this country where people get together and do stupid things together. So it's not surprising at all. It would have cracked me up if the baby came out and said that they didn't like Invincible. That would have been more funny.
2.0. My God.
What really, and y'all both know I work in the mental health space. So me watching him deteriorate so quickly over this, and within reason for him to feel this way. And you just see over the course of the episode, he gets more desperate and just malicious, and he's on the edge. But at the same token, his wife is understanding, is empathetic, and is a part of the mission, as we see later in the episode, to her own detriment.
Yeah.
It's sad. It's so sad. My God. We'll get there, but
you're already sad.
I'm already thinking about it. I'm like,
it hits different for him.
Scoot back. Where's the line at? So he is hell-bent on getting revenge as well as destroying Invincible, which we're not even really sure. Does he even know if this power can really destroy Invincible? But
that was my question in the beginning. Why did he decide this was going to be it?
Yeah, like why did he think, okay, this is definitely going to kill him? Like he couldn't find, he works at the GDA, right? He couldn't find any other thing to steal that like possibly, I mean, I know this worked with his powers, right? Okay, cool. But his powers were kind of like,
it's like Electro.
Like it wasn't anything. Yeah. It was like a half pint version of Electro, right? So these basically just amplified his power. But what if it didn't work? Where would we be right now? He would just be like, well,
Was that like was that machine that Cecil uses? Was that invented yet to stop Mark? That thing that puts the noise in his head. Why couldn't he take that?
No,
that's what I thought of. When he uses powers, I thought he was going to go to the neuralized thing in his brain
and try to
short circuit or something.
Because even Dr. Seismic even used that type of
frequency.
Yeah, that type of frequency because he realized that the twins, what are they called? Oh, God.
Dropkick and
no, the blue guys.
The Mauler
twins, right? Mm-hmm. So the Mauler twins even know that to shut down a superhero is their nervous system, right?
Equilibrium, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. So if you work at DVA, the GDA, why did he know that? Like, why did he try to okay, I can knock out his nervous system. He won't have no powers. I got this little bit of electrical phase. I can go ahead and hit him in the face a couple times and maybe blow his head up. I don't know.
To be fair, he didn't seem that smart in this episode.
No, he it wasn't thought through this whole entire plan.
No,
he was
he's not the 3 steps ahead villain.
Yeah. Sad.
Yeah, it's so sad. Oh my God. All right, let me go back before I crack.
I love how Cam is beat up about this when we get to it.
I'm so torn about the end of this episode. It's really good, but I was just like, y'all gone too far. Y'all know y'all done too much now. Like this is killing me. So we kind of drop back into this episode, and now we get to see that I believe they're hanging out at William's birthday party, right? And William decides to invite everybody. He invites everybody he knows. Not like he was thinking like, oh, this is going to cause an issue or anything like that. But of course, Amber is his friend as well. So they're friends, but I wouldn't say like if your boy is there, like your best friend Mark.
Read the room, bro.
That's kind of weird, bro. Like I would probably looking at William like, what you doing, bro?
I didn't like you're not letting them know either. I don't think he would tell him. Like, oh yeah, she's here.
He was like, yeah, don't be like that. She's my friend too. Ain't nobody say all that. Just why did you invite her though? Like you gonna have a second party and I didn't go to that one? That's what I would have been thinking. Are we surprised to see Amber back in this episode though? Because like I honestly thought the chapter of Amber was over. Are you guys surprised, or do you think we're going to see a little bit more of Amber now that she kind of got reintroduced in here? I saw what you're doing.
No, I wasn't surprised at all because she brings the awkward out of Mark in almost every situation she pops up in. And going back to when they even dated, she was an integral part of his growth. Getting back to that word, his growth in season 2, and even to get to this point. I think she's part of the framework. He still cares about her, obviously, as we saw in the brief interaction, however awkward it was. They still care about one another. And, you only wish to have that kind of relationship with your ex that ends amicably and you still care for them and you want them to be okay. So for Amber, I'm not surprised she was there. I will say, like, dude, you didn't think to clear that with Mark first?
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'm inviting Amber. So just
by the way, like, give me a text or something. That's crazy. What did you think, Stevie?
Yeah, no, I wasn't surprised. I think I said that when she appeared the first time. I'm like, they're bringing her back for a reason.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't think that was like the last we were going to see of her. Like, I don't know. Maybe he still needs like that human like that human connection.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So that's what I'm
he doesn't
thinking
get it.
too.
Yeah, he doesn't get it from anyone besides his mother.
Yeah. And his girlfriend's a superhero. So
yeah, she's on the same level. So it's like
you just need that grounded. I think that's why you saw both of them too. Like they're still like around, it's to connect them back to the human side.
Send me a text next time. That's all I'm gonna say to William.
Like, that was crazy.
I'd be like, I won't be at your next birthday if you're gonna do this. Like,
but remember, it's mentioned he gets whatever he wanted for his birthday, and that's what true. He wanted.
That's
so.
True. What is he?
Just give a heads up.
William messy, man. William's
if I'm him and I know the situation, you really think I want to be like, so Mark, I know you're dating Eve now, but I invited Amber. Bye.
Yeah.
You know.
What William wants, William gets. Wild.
I
So
love William was busting that ass in bowling though.
yeah, he was cooking everybody. It was kind of crazy. Then everybody was struggling
Hey,
too.
the turkey joke and
That's his
everything.
superpower.
Yeah,
He's
that is
bowling
it.
champion.
And in doing so, Mark gets actually meet Amber's new boyfriend, Kyle. And I guess they're both
Such a doofy name. Kyle.
yeah.
Kyle.
Like Kyle.
It's like Kyle watching this right now. So they have a bond over what is this? It's not Space Dog, it's what, Sorcerer Dog?
So something
Dr.
like that,
Strange dog.
Doctor Strange Dog, right. So of course they're like, having like a
nerd off.
Nerdy moment where they're like, oh my god, nobody understood it when I was younger, but now I understand it now. So
I wonder if that's like a thing with the Invincible comic, because you know how last season they had that whole thing about the animation,
right?
How bad the animation is.
Cutting it back. Yeah.
And I wonder if because clearly that was like a callback to like their animation in the show,
right?
And so I wonder if this is like if them talking about the comics out like, oh, it's better when I was younger type thing, or the storylines are getting darker or something.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's like a callback to like the comic.
Wouldn't be surprised.
It might be, because like even I think like the reference you're talking about was when they were like, I read it when I was younger, but I only understood it now, because like there's a lot of adult things in here that probably kids would hopefully kids are not reading, but like young adults are reading, and they're probably like, I don't understand, the relationship dynamics and stuff, because they haven't been through it. So I know that's pretty smart. I mean, that might be part of it, honestly. But in doing so, during this time, Powerplex picks the wrong time to jump out there in the world and start a fight at this point, because Mark he doesn't have time for this. He's like, you know what? I just want to be with my friends today. Even a news broadcast comes up that, there's a new supervillain downtown threatening the city. And Mark turns the TV off. He's like, let's get back to bowling. I don't want anything to interrupt this. I just want to have fun with these guys. Which is cool, because we get to see Mark getting a little piece of normalcy as well. Even though he has this great power, he's like, you know what? I can take a break. I can take some time. Hopefully people don't die. That's on him if they do. I can have a night out, as a young adult, with my friends and, my girlfriend. So in doing so, I called him Elastic Guy, but his name is what? Shapes Man?
Whatever. It's Ben Schwartz. Don't care.
Terrible name.
Y'all know how much I don't like Ben Schwartz.
Whoa, that stinks. So Powerplex is out there, and they immediately send out the police, but then they immediately send out Shapesman, right? And Powerplex really isn't trying to fight Shapesman at all. He's just like, I'm not here for you. I want Invincible. Like, you can just go. And Shapesman's like, nope, and just starts like wailing on him, right? But of course, all the kinetic energy is building up, and eventually Powerplex builds up enough strength where he blasts Shapesman into a building, which is very reminiscent to the building that Invincible blew up as well. So it seems like, okay, dude, you're doing the same thing. And Shapesman gets defeated, and Powerplex is kind of pleading to the crowd that's like circled around now, and he's like, hey, you guys saw I didn't throw the first punch, right? Like, I'm not trying to fight him. I didn't do this. So he's trying to like appeal to humanity to show that he's the good guy, but all they see him as is evil, because he's fighting what people know as the good guy. Do you think he really feels that he is? I mean, well, of course we know this already, but do you think that he deep down doesn't want to destroy things? He just wants to make things better. What do you think, Stevie?
I don't think he wants to destroy things. I really just think he wants to fight Invincible. He just wants revenge on him, and it's just taking over him. You know, which we see later. It definitely does take over him to the point where I don't think he's realizing like what he's doing,
right?
Like that he's affecting other things. Like it's like a domino effect in a sense. So I don't think he wants to do that, because he even said like I think later he says that this is not what I wanted to do. It was I definitely think that. And also with this scene, I like what they did with the title card. This was like happened around the same time. It jump scared me each time. It was like like back crazy. That's so good.
And it's weird, because I always forget that eventually that title card is going to come in on the show, right? And then it like pops up, and I'm like, where we just get there. But obviously it could be, I mean, we've been like 30 minutes into the show and we just now getting the title card, which is crazy. You know, it's like, man, I didn't even realize I missed it from the jump though. What do you think, Damien?
I think he doesn't realize he's the bad guy because he thinks like a lot of good guys, air quotes, turn villains, they think that their mission is a just one.
Right.
So him not wanting to fight Shapesmith is completely fine in his mind. Like, nah, dude, I ain't called for you. You give me it's as if it's the Elephant Man situation from earlier in the episode.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you send me Shapesmith. I don't want to deal with you, Rubber Man. Like kick rocks. I just want to talk, air quotes, to Invincible. And you give me a D minus hero, and he's over here saying, well, I'll have him visit you in prison. Dude, I'm not trying to go to prison. I'm just trying to have a chat with your boy. You're the reason I'm gonna throw hands on you. And like you said, Cam, he didn't even throw hands. He just built up his kinetic energy and defended himself.
Right.
Yet perception is sometimes reality, and the public is seeing him fight Shapesmith. You are the bad guy.
Yeah.
And we see as the episode goes on, he gets more lost in the mission and he becomes more of the villain. So he himself is now invincible.
Yeah.
Doesn't even realize it's happening to him, which is crazy.
And that's what happens. They don't realize they're turning into it.
Yeah. Yeah. He's definitely blindsided by like not only the rage and revenge, but like it just gets overcomplicated. Like he could have just kept it in one thing, but it's never that easy.
And I do want to say one thing. Kudos to the animators on the way they drew the desperation in his mannerisms, and his face to go with the vocal, contingent with that, just showing the desperation, showing the breaking of the mania of the situation as he deteriorates until we get to the end of the episode. Like it's a slow trickle to insanity, and then when we get there, we watched it play out from a visual standpoint of the facial performance. So kudos to the animators for that. They didn't cut corners for that one.
No, I also want to add because like the voice acting is really great in this show. It's so good. Like he's good. Okay. I'm reading the comics now. Like I have like the first like big book. Okay. Now when I'm reading it, I hear them, even
their
Steven
voices.
Yeun. Yeah. But Aaron Paul was really, really good in this episode.
Yeah.
It was awesome. All of them are good.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure we're gonna see him again too. So, but yeah, so Powerplex takes off because he obviously sees that like, okay, the crowd's turning on me. I gotta get loose. And we kind of cut scene and we get to see what Robot, aka Rudy, weirdest name. Rudy, he picked that. Shout out to my brother-in-law, Rudy. Matter of fact, sorry. It's not a weird name. It's just different. So he picked the name Rudy. He picked the name Rudy, though. And I'm like, okay. So he's like, all right. He decides, okay, he's obviously so in love with Monster Girl, right? I don't even know Monster Girl's real name. Oh, Amanda. Sorry. Take that back. And he decides, I've been building this belt that will reconfigure your transformation. So I guess there was something wrong with the magic that she was using that was making her molecules continue to get younger opposed to staying the same and growing or getting older over time. So he developed this belt that would kind of even out that magic. And he didn't know whether like she was going to love it because obviously he's new at being like a person at this point, you know what I'm saying? Like he stole DNA from Rex and now he's like 12. So he's like, I don't know if she's gonna love it, if she's gonna hate it, if she's never wants to use it again. I get it, I understand, but he's super understanding. And he really wants I think he really wants a dynamic relationship with Monster Girl, aka Amanda. Amanda ends up trying it and it ends up working and she loves it. This is like the first time we get to see like, what's the second time we get to see some real emotion, I think, from the character of Monster Girl. Do you think this is going to like lead into possibly a Monster Girl spinoff? Like, do you think like we're going to get more Monster Girl? Because we haven't seen much Monster Girl this season though. But do you think we're going to see more of her after this? Now that she's able to use her powers, I guess, in a safe way. What do you think, Stevie?
Yeah, I could totally see them doing that. I think they could do anything with any of these heroes. I would like to see a Rex show. I think
Yeah,
that would be super
that
fun
would be really
too.
good. Yeah.
Damien.
He didn't have any. He's like, no more Rex. We got enough of him already.
I
But
love Rex.
he obviously is. I mean, he's a star character on the show though, because like we visit so much of the dynamical changes in his life, almost more than Invincible, to be honest with you. Like we see a lot of Rex this season, so that would probably be my first choice. What do you think, Damien? Who do you see? You got somebody else out there?
No, honestly, you can take any character and give them a spinoff, and I think Prime will make money off of it. That's just capitalism and all that other good stuff. You know, you find an idea, you can kind of make money off of it. But I will say, going back to season 1 with Monster Girl, that was her biggest conundrum, is that she was going to reverse Benjamin Button herself, inevitably, to the point where she becomes a fetus and dies for overuse of her powers. So this is a true lease on life for her. She can actually live a life while still using her powers and not have to worry about turning back into a baby and thusly dying, you know, being a young child. So she gets to, as I said before, she gets to grow. So she gets to live an expanded life, just like the robot, just like he's trying to figure out how to be more human, or trying to understand. He reminds me of Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory. He's just trying to figure out this human dynamics. Why do people act this way? Why are you hugging me? What do you mean you have emotions? Like, these are things that he's trying to figure out too. And like you said, even though he stole Rex's DNA, he likes her. So he wants to make her happy. And remember, they had a blow off, might have been last season, where she says, love me for who I am, stop trying to change me. To which he brings back in this episode, this isn't to change you. I really just want to help you, and you don't have to use this if you don't want to.
Right.
Because she made a real point to say that last season, that stop trying to change me to make me what you want me to be, because you're a robot. I'm not. I'm human to a degree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's it is something, honestly. But I'm glad she got the belt, to be honest with you. Because I am too. I'm like thinking, like, all right, if she uses it all the way up until the point where like she turns into a baby, right? Let's just say hypothetically, she turned to a baby, right? What if, like, does she have the brain of a baby, or does she have the brain of herself?
Well, think about Avengers Endgame. Think about Avengers Endgame. They made Scott into a baby. He was a baby.
That's true.
Yeah,
it's like, a baby. Is she a baby that can still transform, or just a baby that like don't know how to transform no more? You know, like what if she don't use it and be like, all right, I'm not gonna use it for like a year because I'm a baby, I don't know how to use it. And then she grew up to 3. All right, you get it. She got 3 years. And then she back to back.
You thinking way too in depth.
I'm doing too much. It's okay, you know.
You're in charge of the spinoff, sir. You're in charge.
You're right.
Call me. I got ideas. So in doing so, in the team, I guess the team location, we also get to see the relationship between Rex and Ray, and how it's kind of taking a weird spin after the last dinner night that they had together where Rex cooked. I think Ray decides to visit Rex in his quarters, and I think in Rex's head, he was like, okay,
now check a wow.
You know what I'm saying? Came to my room.
That's what I thought.
You know what time it is. So and gonna find out, Ray really came to just let him know that, like, yeah, I'm quitting the team. He's like, whoa, I thought we had a connection. You know, I thought there was like something there. And come to find out, Ray thinks that at this point, after regrowing a lot of her body parts and bones back, she doesn't want to have to experience that again. She feels like, you know, living this type of life just isn't normal. There's like zero normalcy in this. And that's what she misses, is not sitting here and having to play her cards and eventually die for a cause, opposed to just living her life out entirely. And if she get hit by a bus, she just get hit by a bus. You know what I'm saying? But she was able to make her own choices for her own self. Do you agree with that sentiment, or do you feel like she has this greater power and she has to use it for greater good? What do you think, Stevie?
I think she's absolutely right. If I would not be a superhero if I had superpowers. Like, it's a lot. And yeah, not it just shows that like not all of them are like Invincible.
Right.
You know, like they could get hurt and die. Like Invincible is invincible. Like he's not gonna do that. So it makes a lot of sense. I would do it. Like she just wants a normal life.
No,
and that's all we want.
I agree. What do you think, Demi?
I agree wholeheartedly. If I had powers, I would just want to use them in my everyday life, especially the kinds of powers she has. It's I'm gonna shrink and go into someone and blow them up from the inside like the Thanos, like you're saying, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Unless I'm sneaking around the bank, microscopic. Why would I want to use my powers to fight villains for? There's no point.
Yeah.
She wants to live a life, like we said before, growing, living a normal life. Heroes trying to find normalcy in a world of nonsense. So why wouldn't? The thing that cracked me up was the fact that Rex was so, what do you mean? We're like rock stars. Why would you want to leave this life? Like, bro, you blow stuff up. You can do cool stuff. You can kill villains. She can't. Like, come on, man. Figure it out.
And I'm actually surprised that he still used that sentiment that like we're rock stars, right? I mean, I feel like it's more of a you were a rock star because like at this point, y'all are living at a base and have no jobs. Ain't nobody got no job for real. We're like the second team that they call if the first team dies, hypothetically, if that even happens. And plus, we not getting no paychecks.
Nope.
Insurance is probably surviving? Insurance is probably terrible. Let's be honest here. And,
how are they surviving? That's true.
And Rex, how they even buy that food? Let's be honest here. Where that food come from?
That's my whole point. Where are they getting this money from?
They ordering Hello Fresh?
No, Hello Fresh, yeah.
Yeah, no, it can't be.
How much is Hello Fresh?
You get the 2-pack. This video is sponsored by. Yeah, and I'm like, I think it's insane, and I'm like, all right, it's like, I think Rex is so used to that whole rock star life. He feels like there's some power in the glory of dying for a cause type thing when Ray really just wants to live her life and hopefully to fulfill us. So I don't know. They shared a little kiss at the end and I don't know where it's going to go after that, but
I don't know. I think y'all are racking on Rex too much. Like I didn't get Cause he was like he got sold to the government by his family.
He did. There was a whole backstory of Rex. Yeah, that was.
So it's like that, and he's kind of like raised to do this. Like I feel like he doesn't know what doesn't know what he would do if he lived a normal life. Like
Yeah.
Since he hasn't lived a normal life. Maybe Ray has. I don't know.
But I think that's to Ray's point where she's trying to get him to understand, like, you have done nothing but be this. Who are you? What do you want outside of this? And Rex doesn't know. He has yet to have that self-discovery journey.
Yeah. Which makes sense because like I didn't even think about the upbringing story that we saw for Duplicate and Multipole as well. They were kind of like just donated. Yeah, like from early, adolescence. So for Rex to have come there as a baby, he probably thinks his mom is like a robot or something like that, or what he looks to as like a mother figure is just someone that works for the GDA, which is crazy. A lot of depth in these characters, man. Like it's crazy how we're season 3 in and we're episode 6 and there's still unraveling layers though of people. Like I felt like I knew everybody when I watched the first season. And now that I'm watching it the third season, it's like, wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't even think about that could have happened to them and all this other stuff. So shout out to Invincible team. You guys are killing it. But yeah, so now we get to see that Invincible and his family are now showing up to, I guess you could call it the Chicago Tragedy Remembrance Day is what I'm calling it right now. Yeah. And it's a memorial service that they're having for the people that died due to casualties of the fight between Nolan and Invincible in Chicago. Invincible really didn't realize in the scene that we get to see is that he didn't understand that all these different people actually suffered. And there was this huge list because Cecil actually kind of hid him from, the actual stats and numbers of what was going on and how many people actually died because I think Cecil in doing so realize that Mark is going to take this very heavily, because that's the human side of Mark. Mark cares and shows, kindness for his people. And for him, it would probably just be like it'd be a tough move to probably try to read, because after that, he probably wouldn't want to do what he does on a daily basis anymore. Did this I guess scene give you guys any type of memories of any other shows that you've seen before, like with this like memory type or memorial type service going on for the Chicago event? I'll start with you, Damien.
I mean, it just kind of parsons to real life, the 9/11 memorial and things like that. The Day of Remembrance, like you said, and all over the country and all over the world, there are pockets of events that we commemorate and we remember. So it was nice to see a levity, like you said, just another layer of real in a superhero show, which you don't traditionally get. And I just enjoyed the fact that Mark was able to have this come to Jesus moment of just, for as much as I clown Mark the character for being dense, it's nice to see him wake up and realize it ain't about you all the time. Even though you got teenage angst and woe is me and puberty and dude, you done killed people. You and your dad done tore town up. So face your consequences, sir.
Yeah. What did you think, Stevie?
Yeah, I agree with Damien said. I did. There is definitely, like with 9/11 stuff, memorial, things like that, there's definitely things out there for remembrance. But I totally agree.
Yeah. It was a crazy scene. I mean, I guess a very realistic scene, that we've seen here. But they've been able to, I think Invincible's been always very very close to the wire when it comes to like current events in real life, as well as showcasing it also in the show that kind of relate to what's going on in the world on a day-to-day basis too. Can't say enough about the show. My God. Let's see. So now that the family is at the memorial, of course, Powerplex knows he's gonna be here somewhere possibly, or he possibly gonna show up. So Powerplex shows up. He, in doing so, wants to start a fight and immediately calls out Invincible. So we see everybody in the crowd. Everybody clears out. They're like, all right, we're hauling ass. We're out of here. And of course, Mark and his family are still like in the chairs. And I'm like, Debbie, get up. Get up. I'm like, Debbie, no, you don't have any powers. Go get back, girl. So I'm watching and I'm like, all right, whatever. So they slowly clear out. But Eve decides, okay, I'm going to be the one to take on Powerplex, because obviously I think inducing to bring out Invincible is just going to bring a whole nother level to the situation, which is very smart through Eve, because at the time she didn't even realize that the one thing that Mark can do is probably the worst thing you can do to this villain, So if you sit here and you just punch him, you're just going to build up energy and eventually try to blow Mark up. Right. Eve, in not knowing this, by a chance, I guess you can call it, she's able to fight him and then starts to realize that, okay, I got to play defense to basically counter your offense at this point. Let's go football rules out here. So she starts fighting him, and we get to see more of the skill set that Eve has. And I feel like I can't talk enough about Eve's skills, bro, because like last episode, we got to see a lot of it. But in this episode, we also get to see that like that construction class or that architecture class, she can build a box in 2 seconds out here, and it's wild. Do you think we're gonna see her powers grow to like a crazy level in the next a couple episodes? Not just because of her architecture skills, but just because of the willpower that she has as well. What do you think, Stevie?
Yeah, I think so. I do think we're gonna see a lot more of her powers. I feel like, I'm sorry. Yeah, I do think we're gonna see a lot more of her powers. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, what do you think, Damien?
I think we're gonna have no choice but to see her kick her powers up to the next level once we get to the end of the episode. Because as we've noticed, lately, her powers are also tied to her emotions, right?
Mhm.
When Mark was in trouble when they were fighting Bootleg Magneto, and you saw how she had like the armor on, she was ready to go
Yeah.
ham.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine when we get to the war that has been promised in season 2, she's going to have to step her game up as well. And I'd like to think, from what I've seen of Eve so far, her battle IQ, as far as strategy is concerned, is going to be invaluable when your boyfriend's a meathead, fist swinging palooka known as Mark. It's like, yeah, you need the balance. And I think she would provide the better balance in the War of Marks.
Yeah. That and her emotional intelligence too.
Yeah,
because like she was the one that realized that like, oh, he's not like a bad guy. He needs help. There's something
empathy.
Yeah, there's something going on with him. And also like I feel like she also volunteered herself in a sense because like this is also the place that Invincible destroyed. So maybe let's not throw Invincible out there again.
Yeah, that's really smart. Wow. Yeah. You know, if this is Marvel Rivals, she's the MVP for sure because like she just got it all. I don't know. Like, I mean, I love Mark and I love his powers most of the time, but I just feel like Eve is just so well-rounded. Like if she was a playable character, I think a lot of people would probably be like, all right, I'm picking her because she just got it all. She just got it all together.
Yeah.
My God, you lucked
literally
out,
make gold.
Yeah.
I wish
you don't
I
need
had
a job. Look, she's his agent too. She's Mark's agent in terms of getting him gigs. So she's
Mark,
not.
You
she's
got
not
really
dumb by any stretch of
with
the
a girlfriend. I'll be honest with you. He lucked out.
If they have a kid together, I wonder what that power set's gonna look like.
Her brains and his brawn, hopefully.
Fingers crossed. If we're lucky. But of course, okay, so Eve basically, I guess you can say she defeats Powerplex, and Powerplex is now trapped in a box that he's got to punch his way out of, which he probably can't. And the Guardians of the Globe show up and decide to take him, and now he's being transferred to what we're guessing is a maximum security prison, which we saw Multi-Paul in with no collar, right? So pretty sure he's probably going to go to the GDA location that's a little bit more secure. So while he's in this van being transferred, he realizes that if he bangs his body against the wall, that the kinetic energy will start to build up and he could probably bust his way out of here. So he starts going crazy in this van, right? And convulsing and start hitting his head against the back of the van and basically builds up enough kinetic energy where he's able to, I guess he does like a kinetic boom where he turns the car off, car crashes, and then he's able to blast his way out by shooting the guards with the electric energy to get out the back. And eventually, I mean, he does this in doing so just to go back to his own house to say to his wife, like, hey, we have no time. We got to like put our plan in effect now because the GDA are on the way. Why weren't the GDA on the way earlier is what I'm trying to figure out, right? Like he's an employee. Y'all don't have his address. Right? Where the hell? What does he put down for a reference? Who's his emergency contact? I'm like, we don't have an address for
Very
this guy.
true.
The stuff is missing. That's him on TV. Do people not know who works at their location? I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one that had this thought process, but I'm like, you know what? This episode just made me think a little too hard. I loved it. It was great, but I was just thinking way too hard, as you can see, because my mind's all over the place. What do you guys think? Am I tripping or like was like?
You know what? I'll say this, dude. Kudos to you when we do these breakdowns. And I love minutia talk. And kudos to you for like thinking this granular on these kinds of levels, man. Like, I'm not hating on you for it. I love the fact that you do it. So
I appreciate it.
Kudos, sir.
It's true.
Kudos.
Thank you.
It's not a lie, but like, how can they not find him?
Yeah. This is real life. They've been outside my house. Like I've been getting wheeled away immediately. Before my wife could put those discs in me, I would have been gone.
Well, he references it, right? He goes, they're gonna know these discs are missing, so they're gonna be.
How did they not notice it already?
Right.
Like
it's wild. It's so wild. I was just like, well, here we are.
Looking at you, Donald.
Thanks a lot, Donald.
No,
obviously Donald's fault for sure. So let's see. So where did I leave off at? So now we figure out that that Invincible wants to reach out, I guess, to Powerplex, right? Because he kind of wants to talk him down. He knows he escaped.
Right.
He wants to talk him down. He wants to have some type of conversation with him because I don't know why Mark now feels like, okay, he's the guy that's gonna talk down the terrorist
Because he created him.
right.
That's
Okay,
why.
Yeah.
so he feels
Donald.
like right.
Donald
So
told him that.
right, exactly. But he didn't know that before until Donald let him know about all the I guess the information that Cecil was actually withholding from him in the first place.
Yeah.
But if someone's going to expose it, let it be Donald, because that guy's all the secrets been held from him. So it's wild. But so Mark ends up meeting with Powerplex, and in this situation, he tries to talk him down. But at this point, Powerplex has failed more than once. So he's already like, no, this is it, bro. Like there's nothing to talk about. Like we're here to do this. We're finally face to face at this point. In doing so, it kind of levels out because Mark is actually vulnerable at this point because the situation that he created was supposed to be a hostage situation where he's using his wife and his son as the hostages. So Invincible gets there. He's trying to save the hostages. And he's like untying the lady, like, it's okay, I'll help you. And the lady spits in his face, right? I was like, damn. I was like, I know he was probably like, I've never had a hostage do this before. Like,
yeah.
He had been lost. Like, am I at the right place? Like, wait, this is the wrong address? So in doing so, Powerplex comes up behind him and starts to give him this electric shock. Of course, they have a little battle conversation where they're going back and forth. And the whole entire time, Invincible is trying to play the good guy, trying to talk him down. But at this point, Powerplex is like, I don't want to hear it at all. Did you ever think that trying to talk down I don't know what to call it. I don't want to say terrorist, but like the negotiator mode. Did you think that was going to help at all? Or did you think he was already too far gone that there was no talking down Powerplex? What do you think, Damien?
Too far gone, but I appreciated the fact that Mark was trying to talk him down.
Yeah.
In a way where he's like, okay, his powers aren't going to kill me. Just let it out. Let out your anger. Let out your rage. Let it out on me since I'm the reason you're like this. Just let it all out. It's almost as if it's therapeutic, a therapeutic release. So I appreciate Mark and his weird way of being a therapist, of trying to let Powerplex get all that stuff out, which he did to a degree.
Right. What do you think, Stevie?
I thought there could have been a moment where he could have had talked him down. Possibly. Obviously. It didn't happen. But there could be a possibility. Because I like PowerPoint. Oh my God. PowerPoint.
Yeah, I like that name better. PowerPoint.
Yeah, I like that better too.
PowerPoint, PowerFlex, PEX, whatever. I don't know. He's really damaged. I feel really bad for him.
He is damaged.
Like, he just wants justice for his family. I mean, what was different between him and freaking Batman from Batman v Superman? They wanted the same thing, you know? Yeah. So I just felt really, really bad. And I hope that it would have ended off in a better spot. But clearly it didn't. But
what happened next, Cam? What happened next?
What happened?
Oh, man. Okay. This is a rough one. So Powerplex somehow gets a hold of Mark's brain. And he thought, like, all right, I'm going to fry his brain, right? He uses all his powers. And remind you, his wife and child are very close, right? They didn't say, like, get out of here now, I got this. He was just like, watch daddy go to work. And decides to, like, that sounds wild. Sorry. He tries to burn. Oh, my God. We're getting canceled. Okay, so he tries to burn up what's it called's head, Mark's head. And he lets out the biggest charge that we've seen in this whole entire episode. And it just kind of like makes Mark sleepy, and Mark kind of like lays down for a second because he's like, oh man, that was draining to try to take all that energy. And we look over and we see that he actually fried his wife and the baby next to him. Terrible. You just see like skulls and hair and body and clothes still there. Clothes were okay, but the body disintegrated. That's wild. What is that made out of? But I was just like, that hurt me. I got kids, so like for me, I was like, not the babies, man. I've never seen no cooked kids on the show. And if Powerplex wasn't too far gone, talking down before, we know at this point he's like, I got nothing to live for. Like, let's be honest, he's just like,
literally nothing.
I'm about to do whatever I need to do to try to kill this guy. And he even tries to kill him again. Mark tries to almost like hug it out, right? He's like, it's like watching
they hug. They did hug.
It's like watching a movie and it's like, hit me, it's okay, man, you know, like
let it out.
And instead he's like, let it out, bro. And he lets it out, and then he get tired. That's it. Powerplex is like, well, that's all I got for today, so go ahead and take me to jail. And in doing so, Mark, I mean, is able to absorb this shock, which is a testament for how strong Mark is, because this is the first episode that we haven't seen a hole punched into Mark. Like this whole entire season, Mark has been getting whooped and either being stabbed or some type of, there's been some type of blood bruises on him dripping, right? And we're thinking like, all right, Invincible's not that invincible, but electrical shock obviously doesn't affect him at all. So that's one thing that we know that he is invincible or invulnerable to. So, yeah. So at this point, they decided after taking Powerplex to the GDA, don't know why I keep getting messed that up. They realized that they can't remove the disc. I don't know how these discs were placed in his body. It just like a straight, sharp, like prongs that were going in him. But I guess it's a little bit more complicated than that. Obviously, I didn't read into that one. I'm gonna let that one go. And it can be removed. And in doing so, even after all this happening and all this whole entire traumatic event just finished going on, Mark still wants to try to attempt to connect with the dude. And I'm like, he don't want to talk to you. Did any of you still think there was like a way of redemption? I thought it was gone at this point. I'm like, this dude don't want to talk to you. What do you think, Stevie? Like, did you think like maybe he'll turn the other cheek or something? Or did you feel like, nah, it's over. It's over.
I feel like Mark, well, I don't know about him. Like, I feel like at that point, no, there was no like turning back from where he was at. But I also feel like Mark is trying to do all this because he feels guilty.
Yeah.
Like he's repeatedly trying to talk to him and apologize and make things better. And because I think he even says it at this part of the episode too. Like it's like a domino effect, you know, what he did, it killed a whole bunch of people, killed his family, and now he's a supervillain. And he said that back when he was at the memorial, like if power whatever was killed a whole bunch of people, that would be my fault.
You
know, so I think he really feels guilty, and now has an arch nemesis. Another one.
He's building them. This is crazy. What did you think, David?
I was going to agree with you in the sense that he creates these villains. This is Mark's fault. Whether it's this lifetime, the next universe, another multiverse, Mark finds a way to create villains that are his own making. But even this episode, he realizes like, oh, Cecil kept this from me, that I did these things, and he had this different view of himself. And after now getting hit with a dose of reality, it's like, dude, you're the bad guy here. So there's guilt. Here's the word again. There's growth now that there's guilt. Now it's not, I just need to stop the bad guy. Because it goes back to something he said a couple of episodes ago to his brother. We don't just beat people up because we have powers.
Right.
But in reality, that's what he's been doing this entire time.
Yeah.
So for him to get that wake up call is pretty impressive to me. And Look, you ain't Eve, man. She's the therapist of the couple. So don't try to take her job, man. Just, I see where he was coming from because his mom is very empathetic and talks people down as well. You ain't him, Mark. That's not your job.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate you trying, but that's not your job.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it does such a fantastic job of showing that, like you said, like defeating one person is usually not the end of the problem.
Correct.
Like there's a domino effect. There's always another person next. There's always a next level or somebody looking to either take your spot or to move you out the way. Which is a scary way to live. And it's probably why, if you go back to it, Ray wants to get out because she's tired of having to look over her shoulder 24 hours. You know what I'm saying? She's like, I want to go to Whole Foods. I want to go do my normal stuff or whatever. Like, I don't want to have to think about this stuff all the time. And, in doing so, after this part kind of ends and Mark leaves the jail, of course, we can find Mark at the exact same place he is every evening at this point. And it's on his roof outside his window. And of course, that's the song is like meet me at our spot. That's where their spot is. Him and Eve meet me right there. They meet each other right there, and she's kind of consoling him about the hardships of being a superhero, but also him trying to deal with the issue that he created this villain at the same time. And while this is going on, we also see that our favorite orb camera is back, and it is floating and still observing Mark and Eve in front of his house. And it's been a mystery to us. I think we've all had an idea of who it was, but this kind of confirmed it for us because the next scene cuts back and we see that whoever's been watching this cameras finally comes around, and it is Angstrom Levy. Probably not the same Angstrom Levy we've been seeing before, but this one is a little bit more robotic, and he's got some scars from battle. But he's brought along almost like 12 different marks from other universes. And did he say what was his final words? I don't remember the words he said. He said something at the end of the scene, but we know at this point he's coming for Mark right now. Seeing Angstrom Levy back, how do you guys think he'll be able to defeat this? Because I don't think there's enough Guardians of the Globe, as well as Mark and Eve, are enough to defeat all these Invincibles as well as Angstrom. What do you think, Damien?
This is where Daddy and Alan the Alien come in come back to the fray to save Mark in the Battle of Invincibles. Because you're gonna have like 12, 13 Invincibles against the Guardians. We saw what Omni-Man did to the Guardians in episode 1, season 1. So just imagine what all these marks are gonna do that are evil, that don't have the same.
These are ruthless marks,
kind
not
of
the same heartfelt marks. Right. What do you think, Stevie?
Yeah, I have no idea because, like you said, they're evil. Because I think, like they talked about in previous episodes, like the other marks were they kind of all went that.
Right?
They all went the dark route. So I have no idea how they're gonna do this. I mean, obviously, I think they're gonna come back. Like Alan the Alien and Omni-Man are gonna come back, so that will be a big help. But I have no idea. But the Invincible War. Apparently, this is like a big thing in the comics. So this is interesting. I hear that floating around. So yeah,
this is going to be fun. This is going to be fun.
Is.
Anything we might have missed on that you guys want to touch on before we wrap this one up?
I think we've covered everything.
Yeah.
To the nth degree in all the best ways possible. Yeah.
I
think we covered
it. Yeah, sure. I think we did. It was a good episode. A lot of fun.
Yeah, it was really good. I think we all equally enjoyed it. Probably I think it was one of our highest rating episodes, I think, out of the whole entire season.
I'd say so.
Next to episode 3. Episode 3 was really good too, but like this one probably.
Well, this didn't feel like filler because the last couple of episodes we've all said have felt like filler.
Right.
Exactly. This had gravitas to it. So
Yeah. But I think that's why the last 2 had filler, was because of this and then what's coming up. Because there's only like 2 more
left in the season, right? Yeah, you were saying. Yeah.
So, and now we got all these Invincibles running around. Like, I feel like
it's a lot. It's a lot to unpack in 2 episodes. So, I'm excited. We're excited. Everybody at home, check out Invincible Season 3, Episode 6, premiering February 27th, only on Prime Video. Damien, where everybody can find you at?
You can find me at Damien G Show across the board, where typically I'm either doing stuff for this channel or I'm doing the retro cartoon rewatch, where I typically take old school cartoons and watch them back in real time to see how bad they are.
Cool. Stevie, where can they find you at?
You can find me at @Stevie on Instagram and on Twitch, where I'm playing some Red Dead Redemption. So it's a lot of fun too. Red Dead Redemption 2. So definitely check it out.
I gotta check it out, man. I'm excited.
Yeah.
How far are you along in it right now, or you just
not far? I passed the snow part area.
Yeah, okay, yeah, all right. Yeah, you just started out. Oh, that's good. That's gonna be, I gotta check it out. Everybody can check me out at Just Cam for Now, as well as Cam's Collection on all platforms. And if you guys like content like this and want to see more content like this, check us out at biggoldbeltmedia.com. Until next week, peace.